This is Big Blue Blitz with your host, Joe Masseri.
Hello and welcome to the show where the Jaxson Dart era is underway for the New York Giants and Big Blue has their first win of the season. I am Joe Masseri, and as always, I am joined by NFL reporter from the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, we have some breaking news we have to start the show with. A little bit of a somber note here, but we just did learn about the health of John Mara. Tell me what you have heard from the New York Giants.
Yeah, John Mara sent out a statement that he's been diagnosed with cancer. There weren't many details, and I don't know much, and I honestly haven't asked much in terms of how far along it is or what type of cancer it is. I think there's a level of respecting the man's privacy and his family's privacy here, but he's going to remain around the team. He's going to be involved in his normal capacity, and he's feeling positive about his prognosis as he goes through treatment. So all that's good, and obviously that all takes much bigger precedence than football is the health of the patriarch of the Giants here.
All right. And so we obviously are going to respect his privacy, but you need positive things to focus on. If you know anybody in your life who's been going through any sort of cancer treatment, fighting any health battles, and at least Mr. Mara for the day has something positive to focus on here with the New York Giants getting their first win of the season. So let's talk about the Jaxson Dart era here underway. Obviously, they come away with the win, and that is the most important stat. But what did you make of Dart's debut as a starter here for Big Blue?
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, Joe, in that the Giants changed the entire offense. Like, they're all gone were the deep shot focus from Russell Wilson. It was much more about short and intermediate passes. It was about using Jaxson Dart's athleticism. There was a level of conservative play calling, especially at the 3-yard line after Dexter Lawrence's interception, where they ran. But then when the game was on the line there late in the fourth quarter, they put it in Dart's hands and let him throw on third down. So they did trust him more and more as the game went on. You saw the toughness and moxie. I think that was contagious. So I think all in all, it wasn't, quite honestly, Joe, it wasn't as dazzling as Daniel Jones's 4-touchdown first career start against Tampa in 2019, but it was winning football, and the Giants haven't gotten winning football out of the quarterback position very often.
All right, let's talk about that moxie, as you put it, that toughness and grit here. He was sacked 6 times, took 10 hits in this one, and when you look at a rookie quarterback running the way he did, showing that toughness, I know a lot of NFL fans have their heart in their throat every time a quarterback takes a hit the way Jaxson Dart did. What did you think of the way he was running, and is that something you expect to continue here in his Giants career?
I feel like I'm living in a time warp, Joe. Like, we had this conversation about Daniel Jones for 6 years. Like, can he run this way? Can it be consistent? When's he going to learn to slide? He needs to hire a baseball coach to teach him how to slide. Like, I feel like we had this conversation for 6 years with Daniel Jones, and like, Daniel Jones was built sturdier or bigger than Jaxson Dart. And what we learned is it's not sustainable, right? You can't run like that because Daniel Jones was injured all the time. So, especially playing behind a bad offensive line. So, like, it's nice. It's a nice element. You have to learn to slide, and it can't be a focal point of your offense. It's great to extend plays out of the pocket. It's nice to pick up a first down on third down when a play is busted, but it can't be a primary part of your offense. 10 carries is probably too many, especially if they're big ones. But, yeah, there were, like that stiff arm on the play down to the 5-yard line. It ended up getting called back because of a holding on John Michael Schmitz. That's an improv play. That's a great play.
Yeah.
But yes, I would worry about, I want to keep Jaxson Dart upright. I want him making my decisions. I want him throwing the ball. I want him running RPOs. I don't want him carrying like a running back would. I think Derrick Henry had 8 carries yesterday for the Ravens and Jaxson Dart had 10 for the Giants. That's not a winning formula.
Yeah. All right. Well, the Giants get the win. Nobody happier perhaps than Brian Daboll. We saw the hug and exchange they had after the game on the field. Here's what Daboll had to say about his rookie quarterback after the game.
For a young player to come out here in his first game, against a 3-0 team with Herbert as quarterback and the defense, the way they were playing. I think it says a lot about our guys. I think it says a lot about Six. Look, I got a lot of confidence in our rookie quarterback. But he's a rookie quarterback, so there's going to be mistakes that be made. We know that. There'll be more next week. There was some this week. It's not going to be perfect. I've went through this before, 7 years ago. A kid's a competitor. It's not going to be perfect. I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you there's a lot that he can do better. We got to continue to help him do it better. But I like his traits. I like his toughness. I'm glad we got him.
Comparisons to Josh Allen, not so bad. It's not going to be perfect. We learned that. But I thought your observation that I read on Twitter after the game about Brian Daboll's comments, what he was willing to talk about after this win, that he usually held back, points to how I think confident he is in his quarterback and some of the young players on this team. You want to talk about what stood out from you, from Daboll's comments there?
Yeah, so he was mentioning that play I mentioned a minute ago, Joe, where on 3rd and 5 with 2:30 left in the game, they put the ball in Dart's hands. We've seen a million coaches in that situation will just run the ball. If they get a first down, great. If not, they'll punt, put the game on their defense. And more often than not, in today's NFL, you lose because it's hard to stop any offense, certainly from kicking a field goal where 60 yards is nothing anymore. Daboll didn't do that. He put the ball in the hands of his rookie quarterback. And what he told us after the game, and there's probably some level of exaggeration to this, but he said that's a play that's been in his offense for 10 years. And two young players, Dart and Theo Johnson, the tight end, came up with kind of a wrinkle to it and installed it on their own without even really telling him, and came up with the idea for him to sit down, Theo to sit down there. And if the defense played it a certain way, and they did, and they got it, and it worked. And whether that's fully true or partially true, it's the kind of thing Daboll should say more, because it gives people a real appreciation for, paints them in a positive light, both the work, the aptitude for learning from Theo Johnson and Jaxson Dart. So I thought it was really an interesting point that two young players are that in tune to it, studying that hard. And I also think, Joe, there's a level of those are his guys, and I hate this about sports. Those are my guys, so I'm more willing to prop them up than guys I inherited or guys I might not be a favorite of. Like, I don't know if he would have told us that about Daniel Jones, but he understands that Jaxson Dart looking good is good for him, and so he's going to make sure Jaxson Dart looks good. I don't like that part of sports, but I get it.
Hey, listen, he put his neck out on the line. I mean, clearly, I don't know if he's on an island here, but clearly not everybody from the Giants was ready to make the move to go to Jaxson Dart here.
He might be on Gilligan's Island. There might be like five. It might be him and 5 other people. But it is in Hawaii. It's not crowded.
Yes, for sure. Well, the feeling of love seems to be mutual. Not only does it go from the coach to the quarterback, but from the quarterback to the coach. Here's what Dart had to say about Daboll after the win.
Me and Dave just have a special relationship. He's the guy that believed in me from day one. And I think it does say a lot, that he made the decision and had the confidence in me, and even just giving me the ball in those situations on that 3rd down to make a play. So I think that I know that when you have a coach who has your back, I'm gonna go out there and do everything that I can for him to win.
So first of all, those glasses I think are sold out around the country already after Jaxson Dart wore them on the press conference, and I think some teenage girls probably have a heart around that picture in their notebook somewhere. But when you look at this relationship between coach and quarterback, I know you just said you don't really love that part of sports, but when it's that relationship, specifically coach and quarterback, we know how important that is to the success of an NFL franchise. Have you seen a relationship like this that comes to mind in comparison to Dart and Daboll, the kind of love affair we're having here?
Good question. Certainly not around the Giants or the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, no, sir. No, I don't think I have. Maybe some guys in Wink Martindale, because players really loved Wink Martindale. Maybe Andre Patterson and his the defensive line coach, and Dexter Lawrence have that kind of relationship. But certainly, no, nothing that really comes to mind like that. Pat Shurmur had a great first year with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was never as good until this year as he was with Pat Shurmur as a rookie. But I don't think they had that kind of closeness that Dart and Daboll already have. I mean, that was a serious, they were forehead to forehead embracing after the game. Like, they were real close and they were screaming in each other's face. That's kind of Daboll's personality, though. No, I don't know that I've seen that honestly anywhere else. Maybe other places around the league, but certainly not with the Giants or Jets. Nothing comes to mind.
I'm going to go back to that clip before they drafted Jaxson Dart, where Brian Daboll was asking him to go through the plays, and he was putting Dart on the spot to say what he saw and where he had to go with the ball. And Dart seemed to, I mean, it looked like he was thrilling everybody in the room at that time, but Daboll was particularly excited. And I think that that is so important because if you've ever even tried to teach your kid newfangled math, right? Like when you're doing the homework with them and they're talking about Common Core standards or whatever it is, just seeing things in a different way is really difficult sometimes. So when you can explain somebody and they see it the same way you do, I think that goes a long way in moving quickly through things. It seems to me like Daboll and Dart see this game the same way. And that, for a coach and quarterback, can be so important for the success of an offense moving forward because the game of football moves so fast when you're out there.
Totally agree. I think they want to play the position the same way. I think he has the confidence that Daboll looks for. I don't think Daboll was a huge fan of Daniel Jones's like aw shucks demeanor. I think he wants this edge that Jaxson Dart has. And then look, edge is only as good as you're playing, right? Yep. It's phony if you have edge and you're not playing well. So he's going to have to play well to kind of keep that. You know, when Baker Mayfield, who gets compared to Jaxson Dart a lot for his personality, when he was winning games with the Browns, it was like, great, look at this guy turning around the stinky Browns. Yep. Then when he was a journeyman, you know, getting cut by the Panthers, it was like, oh, Baker Mayfield's, you know, kind of a joke. And then now he's great again on the Bucs, and it's like, oh, this is why. Look at Baker Mayfield. So you got to play well to earn that, to act that way. But yes, I do think they see the game the same way, and I do think there is a level of this, Joe. Like Brian Daboll's on the hot seat. It's Jaxson Dart or bust for his career, so he needs him. And Jaxson Dart wasn't a first-round pick for a lot of teams. Yep. He was a second-round pick. He was behind other quarterbacks for a lot of teams. He knows the Giants believed in him more than other teams. They're playing the Saints this week. The Saints going to pick Jaxson Dart at 9. They didn't even really consider it. So he knows that they believe in him more than most other teams did, and Daboll knows that Dart believes in him when maybe others don't. So I do think there is a us against the world thing between the two of them, and that's a good thing.
All right. They have burnt the ships, and they're in it together here. We have to take a quick break, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. When we come back, we're going to talk about the rain cloud that hung over the Giants' win right here on the Big Blue Blitz. Stay with us. We're coming right back after this.
Welcome back to Big Blue Blitz.
We are talking about the Giants' first win of the season as they take down the Chargers 21-18. The final as the Giants finally get in the win column. With me, as always, is NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, of course, the Giants have to have a severely catastrophic injury in their first win of the season so that they can't be completely celebratory after the victory. Malik Neighbors going down. It became official on Monday, a torn ACL. We were looking at some stats here from that MetLife turf, which gets complained about all the time. At least 12 ACL or Achilles tears on that turf. At least 5 of them are players that the Giants have drafted in the first or second round. Listen to these names on here. OBJ, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, all suffering these same type of injuries at home. Are we ever going to see a change here on the field at MetLife? If they could do it for the World Cup, why not for the NFL?
Yeah, I think it has to do, Joe, with the idea that grass doesn't hold up well in the winter months here, and like obviously the World Cup isn't played in December and January. They did replace, you gave me that list. It goes back to what, 2017 injuries, they did replace the turf with a different kind of turf, I think before the 2023 season. So they haven't all happened on the exact same kind of turf. I think they have field inspectors come out and have had people check it and it meets the league standards. I just don't know. I know I've heard Kyle Shanahan complain about this turf, and we've heard players complain about it. Saquon Barkley's ACL happened on grass, and it was a meniscus tear too. It was a bad ACL. It happened on grass in Chicago. I kind of think this is just football, and I kind of think this is just a downtrodden franchise that has a lot of injuries pile up. You're right. They've lost all their big stars to knee injuries.
Yeah.
But they haven't all happened at home. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to this, but I don't think you're going to see grass anytime soon at MetLife Stadium.
All right, much to the dismay of fans here. But now let's talk about the injury and what it means for the team. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is the best offensive weapon that the Giants have on this team. We got to see him and Jaxson Dart together for, a quarter and a half about. How do the Giants try and find some offensive firepower with Neighbors going down here?
It's not going to be easy. I don't think they're going to get much outside help. I know there are going to be people who clamor for Odell Beckham. The ship has sailed, guys. He had 9 catches in 9 games for the Dolphins last year. It's okay to just say that he was a great player who's done. Don't see that reunion happening. Isaiah Hodgins, a former Giant, or Gabe Davis, a former Bill for Shane and Daboll. None of those names excite me. Are the Giants really in a position to trade for a Rashid Shaheed or an Alex Pierce? I don't think I would give up draft picks. The Giants aren't going to be very good. You're going to be giving up high round picks. I don't think I'd do that. I think I'm just going to turn internally and ask for a lot more out of Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. And maybe you finally get your big shot from Jalen Hyatt, but it's certainly not a situation that looks promising for the Giants.
Yeah, Bo Collins also could be getting a lot more snaps, obviously, with Neighbors going down here. Let's talk about the defense here for a second, because we heard about this pass rush and what it could be, and kind of lived up to it here in this game. They got 12 QB hits, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and, of course, the key stat on the turnovers, 2 interceptions by Justin Herbert in this one. What did you make of the defense, especially up front for Big Blue here?
It was exactly the blueprint they want, Joe. It was exactly how they drew it up, right? If you ask Joe Shane, what does it look like? It looks like the offense gets an early lead, and we play from ahead for 54 minutes, and my pass rush can tee off on an offensive line. And look, part of this is this Chargers were missing their 2 best offensive tackles plus Mekhi Becton at guard, so 3 starters. But who cares? No one cares and no one cares that the Giants are missing Malik Neighbors. So this is the NFL. This injuries happen. Next man up, and you take advantage of it. And the Giants feasted on a bad offensive line, had 20 quarterback pressures between Carter, Thibodeau, and Burns. Dexter obviously took on a lot of double teams and had the pick. Those 4 guys are the money makers inside, and they allowed the blueprint to be exactly what it should be. That Justin Herbert looked very frustrated, and he's a guy who doesn't usually show emotion.
All right, you mentioned the pick by Sexy Dexy there. We got to listen to his comments after the game, because everybody loves a big man touchdown, and I echoed Chris Berman, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling there as he was approaching the goal line. Here's what he had to say about his pick and almost touchdown.
I'll tell everybody I'm the fastest.
How close did you think you were going to get to the goal line?
I thought I was going to score. I knew he was going to go low, but I couldn't catch my feet quick enough. You got a lot of ballers up front. You got a lot of guys that's getting paid to do this, to go out here and dominate every game. And we put that pressure on ourselves. We want it, and we embrace it. We don't shy away from it, and we just got to continue to be consistent and show up every week and prepare the right way. And that's what we did this week, and we came out with a W.
No way Herbert was catching him. He was pulling away from the field. If not for that shoestring tackle, we would be talking about the pick six for Dexter Lawrence here in this one. Nice to see that moment. Good that the Giants could have a moment of levity here. But when you look at this defense, obviously we know what they did against the pass, but the run game continues to be an issue here for the Giants defense. They gave up over 150 yards again on the ground. How concerned are you about their ability to stop the run, despite what success they had pressuring the QB?
Extremely. I mean, it's at the top of the list that concern. I mean, I guess not having neighbors is one right now, but number two is the ability to stop the run. I don't know what Greg Roman, the Chargers offensive coordinator, was thinking. I think Omarion Hampton had 12 carries for 120, and that's a little skewed because he had a 54-yard touchdown. But only 12 carries isn't enough, especially for a first-round rookie running back, especially against this defense that can't stop the run. Raheem Nunez-Roches has missed the last couple games. He's not a player that most fans think of as important, but he's their second best interior run stopper, and he needs to hurry back soon just for the run defense to be average. I mean, it's very concerning, but again, the formula is the pass rush, so you need to play from ahead.
All right, let's talk about Joe Schoen quickly here, because you look at this draft class, and it seems like they are getting a ton of production. Obviously, Carter and Dart. We saw another big game from Cam Scatterbo here. And then you look at Marcus Bowe, who, when he's been out there, has performed well. What do you think about the Giants draft class and how they've been contributing so early on to this season here?
Okay, here's what I'll say about this.
Okay.
I think that this draft class has been encouraging, but I'm not going to make the mistake that fans and me make every year. Like we would have said last year, like, look how encouraging the draft class is. And like now Tyrone Tracy's on the shelf and lost his starting job. And Drew Phillips had a terrible game against the Chiefs. He bounced back with a big play yesterday. Like, yeah, draft classes kind of ebb and flow. Like we would have said as John Michael Schmitz's rookie year, like, look, they drafted a second round center who started every game and plays every snap. And now in year 3, people want to run him off the team. So like draft classes ebb and flow. And yeah, Cam Scatterbo's playing a lot, but he also had 3.2 yards per carry. So like, let's see how it develops. It's nice that they're getting a lot of production from the rookie class, but really good teams, Joe, don't have to rely on their rookies because they have the second and third and fourth year players built up. So that's what I want to see. I want to see it get to the point where the Giants don't have to rely so much on their rookies because, like I said, rookies ebb and flow.
As you told me last week, it's okay to have multiple good players and depth in the NFL. Ryan, before we go today, because we do have to wrap up here in a second, I just want to point out we're recording on Monday, which just happens to be International Coffee Day. And for those of you who might follow the Gang Green Blitz as well, where we cover the New York Jets, Ryan has said that if the Jets and Giants win in the same week, he will have coffee for the first time in his life. Outside of coffee flavored ice cream, that doesn't count. So the Jets will play on Monday Night Football. The Giants have taken care of their end of the bargain. Do you think you could be sampling a late night espresso here?
Did I say week, Joe, or did I say same day? Did I say
that's a good point.
We'll have to play the tape back.
We will.
I will. If the Jets beat the Dolphins tonight, get me whatever sponsors Big Blue Bits, Starbucks, Dunkin', whatever we got, bring it. I'll try it.
All right, we'll see. So let's see if the Jets can hold up their end of the bargain. It could be the Ets curse, right? We know the Mets just missed the playoffs. The Jets, well, they like to disappoint. I hope they don't disappoint me this week. I really want to see Ryan enjoy some coffee for the first time. He's going to be bouncing off the walls. And we'll see if the Giants can get their second win of the season when they take on the New Orleans Saints in Week 5. Ryan, thank you so much, as always, for the time. Appreciate you, man. And
Thanks, Joe.
And we will be back next week with the Big Blue Blitz. We'll see if we're talking about a Giants team that is back into the picture at 2-3, or if this was just an illusion in Week 4 as they get their first win of the season. Ride the hype train, Giants fans. We'll talk to you next week.